I actually wrote a creepypasta. I just reread it, so made a few edits, but it's called Gonuts. It was the night of Halloween, 10 p.m., a time to be someone else and embrace your inner monster. Gregory tossed and turned in bed, letting out a loud sigh, finally deciding to go for a walk. Gregory walked down a long, dark, narrow street, the fall leaves crushed under his feet, deciding to turn on the corner of Bubble and Gum, when all of a sudden a group of shadows appeared in the distance. As Gregory got closer, his vision dispelled and he saw a group of people dressed as clowns, much like some sort of modern version of the Joker's followers. Gregory darted his eyes down to not stare. After all, it was Halloween, and let's just say people weren't just out for the candy. Gregory said, "Excuse me," as he walked past, and a woman in a blood-stained lime green sweater said, "Hey, you live around here?" Gregory stopped and said, "Yeah, I don't get out much, I guess," throwing his hands on his neck while turning around to face the bunch. The woman said, "My name is Rebecca. This is Z, Envy, Butch, and Fairy." Gregory flashed a grin and said, "Nice to meet you all." Rebecca walked over to Gregory and he noticed she slid her foot a bit. Z's Halloween makeup was terrifying and a drool dropped out his mouth. Teeth looked too big for his mouth. Envy never looked back at me, just stared towards the cemetery. Butch sucked their teeth and paced in place, darting their eyes back and forth. Fairy was sitting on the ground with her face in her palms, softly humming the national anthem. Rebecca swung over to Gregory, practically face to face, and slowly guided her hair from one side to another. She turned her head and pressed her ear into Gregory's chest. Gregory thought, "I can't move. Why the fuck can I move? She smells like copper and brimstone." Rebecca licked her lips from one corner to the other while holding her hair to one side. She lifted her head and stared into Gregory's eyes. Butch smacks their lips and yells, "Are we doing this or what?" Gregory noticed that it was like a jolt that went through Rebecca. She jumped, her face started to look like it was melting, and her eyes became flat, dull, as she turned around slowly. She shrills at Butch, screaming, "Shut the fuck up," and hops on one foot, taking off one of her Doc Martens and chugging it over at Butch's direction. Butch screams, "Ow, you cunt," and walks away into the distance. Rebecca grabs Gregory's hand and says, "So sorry about that." Gregory noticed that her hair was stringy, almost like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, and her skin was extra milky. Gregory broke from Rebecca's stare and noticed the others were gone. Rebecca grabbed his chin to guide his gaze to her eyes. He grabbed his mouth and coughed profusely. Gregory thought, "Oh my god, that breath is spooky," and stammered backwards, losing his footing. Gregory landed under a street light and looked up to see a snarly, snotty, slimy beast licking its paws with fidget spinners for earrings. Gregory yelled while pulling himself off the floor, almost falling again, running towards the direction of his house. As he was running as fast as he could, trying to not forget about the direction he was going, he violently searched for his phone in his jacket pocket. He arrives home, shuts the door, and locks it quickly. Gregory pants and paces in the dark, too afraid to draw attention to his home. Gregory ducked near the living room window, staring at the corner of Bubble to see if anyone emerges. Gregory clamps his mouth as he sees a shadow slither up and morph into Rebecca. Gregory falls slowly on the ground, hug his legs as tears stream down his face. In the morning, Gregory wakes up to the sun beaming in his face, rubs his eyes, and tries to piece together the events of last night. He stumbles on his feet and goes into the kitchen, reaches into the cabinet for coffee grounds and a filter. Gregory squeezes his eyes shut, picturing Z's drool dropping on the side of his shirt and Rebecca's breath. Gregory says, "Oh my god, I think I'm going to be sick," and runs to the bathroom nearby when he notices a black box of donuts in the middle of the kitchen table. Gregory slowly says, "What the fuck?" as he examines the box of donuts he didn't purchase or bring home. He darts his eyes back and forth, runs to check if the front door is still locked, It was cracked with drool on both knobs slowly dripping down the door. Gregory ran to his phone, but it was smashed. Then he ran back into the kitchen and swung open the donut box. Muhahaha. Happy Halloween.